Hi everybody, welcome back to FRAG-MENTAL, Chris here. Today I'm in the beautiful Lake District and I'll be bringing you my top 10 spring list. Stay tuned to FM. I'm here on holiday in the beautiful Lake District, which is a mountainous region in the north of England. I've been coming here to these mountains all of my life with family and friends, so I have a lot of fond memories echoing around these mountains, and I thought it would be a nice dramatic backdrop for my spring top 10 list. My list is by no means the definitive best top 10 spring fragrances. This is my list. It's based on what I have in my collection and what I'll be wearing this spring as well. So these fragrances will be in my spring rotation amongst a few others as well. But these 10 fragrances are fragrances that I will keep coming back to throughout the spring period. The other thing to mention is that springs here in the UK are not always that warm. We can still have some really chilly spring days, and the temperature on some of our spring days can be similar to autumn days. So a lot of my fragrances are interchangeable between autumn and spring, I would say. Some of my spring fragrances that I would wear on warmer days, I would wear then into the summer as well. So it may be a little bit different to some of the other lists you've seen coming out, but that's just based on where I live and the fragrances that I'll be wearing this spring. Okay, let's start things off. My number 10 is a 90s classic. It's modern, it's masculine, it's crowd pleasing. I love wearing this. This fragrance takes me back to my youth. This was my signature scent when I was growing up, when I was say 17, 18, 19, I wore this scent all the time. I was told that ladies really loved this scent and I must go out and buy it immediately, so I did. This is Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male. Now this scent reminds me of a certain moment in my youth, and I was in Holland, in Utrecht, and I bought this, what I thought was an amazing sweater. It was a G-Star sweater, it was cream coloured, it was military style, it was really, really cool looking. And at the same time I had that sweater, I was wearing this fragrance. So around that time, whenever I was going out, I would wear that jumper, I would wear this fragrance, and I felt unstoppable. I felt so confident and empowered, and I used to love that feeling of being young and going out, smelling good, looking good. So this really just does take me back to that time. I've recently reacquired this. I didn't have this in my collection for a little while. I had several bottles of this back in the day. I've recently got a bottle and I'm so pleased to have it back. Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male, my number 10, gorgeous scent. I'm really looking forward to wearing this a lot through spring. Number 9 is a new fragrance in my collection. I've just had my birthday and my parents bought me this one. This is Iris Leather Sandalwood Dior Homme Parfum. I've been wearing this a lot for the last 2 weeks. I'm really enjoying it. I love the iris in there. It's smooth, it's sweet. This will be heavily in my spring rotation, partly because it's new, but partly because I really do love it. I also have Dior Homme Intense. I really enjoy that one as well. If I was to pick between the two, it would just be this one. The reasons for that are, the scent is a little sweeter, it's a little smoother, so I actually prefer the scent itself, but also the longevity of this. I wore this side by side with Dior Homme Intense. I tested the two, and this one lasted longer, so the performance of this was better. Projection for both of those fragrances was pretty similar, but this one lasted much longer on my skin than Dior Homme Intense. My number 8 has prominent notes of single malt whiskey and of plum. This one is from Dua Fragrances. It is Spiritus Day. I've recently done a review on this one, so I've been wearing this one a lot. I'm really enjoying it. This one reminds me of drinking single malt whiskey in Scotland. It reminds me of the plum tree in my garden in the house I grew up in when I was a kid. This is quite a light boozy fragrance. It's not a dark boozy fragrance, and that fruity plum note in there just makes this one a really nice one to wear through the spring. I've been wearing this one a lot. I've really been enjoying it. Single Malt by Kilian is what this one is inspired by or based on. It's very similar, pretty much the same. I'd say probably 95% there. I actually prefer this one. The performance of this one was better for me than by Kilian Single Malt. And this one is just a touch sweeter as well. So that plum note, that fruity note just is a little bit sweeter to my nose. And for that reason, I really enjoy this. Number 7 is a classic from the Tom Ford Private Blend collection. In this one, there is agarwood, oud, rosewood, sandalwood, cardamom, some tonka bean to sweeten things up. This one is, of course, oud wood. This is pretty special to me. This is the first niche scent that I smelled. Up until this point, I'd only really been wearing and smelling designer scents, and I got my nose on this one, and I couldn't believe how intoxicating it was, how rich, deep, luxurious. I didn't know a scent that you could buy could be as good as this. So this one blew me away when I first smelled it, and I immediately bought it. It's a great scent, it's light, it's got a bit of green in there. Really works well in the spring for me. Oud Wood definitely going to be in my spring rotation, and this one is one of those fragrances, other than the really hot summer days, it will be in my rotation pretty much all year round. Number 6 is based on what is probably my favourite from the Tom Ford Private Blend collection. We have prominent notes of raspberry and leather. That fragrance is Tuscan Leather, and the one I have here is Bitter Soft from Alexandria Fragrances. I've tested this against my sample of Tuscan Leather and it's strikingly close. I'd say 95%, if not closer. It's gorgeous, such an intoxicating scent. I wasn't really planning on wearing this one through the spring, but as soon as it arrived in the post, I had to try it. I wanted to compare it against the sample I have of the original. And when I sprayed this on, I was reminded how much I really do love this fragrance. So I've been wearing it since it arrived. It's made its way into my spring rotation because of that. I'm really looking forward to wearing this through spring. This is very close to Tuscan Leather. I'd say 95%, if not a little bit closer. I don't have a bottle of Tuscan Leather. I'm not really looking to go out and buy one anytime soon because this one is just such a fantastic interpretation. Bitter Soft from Alexandria Fragrances. Number 5 is a classic marine aquatic. This one would be perfect for those warmer spring days, and I'll definitely be wearing this one well into the summer as well. This one is Invictus Aqua. With this we have a lovely opening of yuzu and grapefruit. It has a slight dirty edge which provides that marine saltiness for me. Gorgeous fresh scent. This is the 2016 formulation. I've tried the 2018 as well. I've done a review to compare those two fragrances. I really enjoyed the 2018, really nice fragrance, a little smoother, a little sweeter. Performance wasn't as good for me, but overall I prefer the performance and the scent of this 2016 original formulation. Wearing this through those warmer spring days will really just prepare me for the summer. It will carry me through from the spring into the summer, and I'll be wearing this a lot as my summer rotation as well. 2016 Invictus Aqua. Number 4 is my favourite from the House of Creed. This was a game changer when it came out in 2010. It's an exciting fragrance, it's a modern classic. We're talking Creed AVENTUS. Shock horror, Creed AVENTUS hasn't made number 1 on a list. The reason this hasn't made number 1 is there are a few fragrances that I will wear in my spring rotation more often than this, but I will be wearing this pretty often through the spring. It will be in my year-round rotation. I can wear this in any season, for any occasion, and I always thoroughly enjoy rocking this one. This one is from Acqua di Parma. It's a flanker to their 1916 classic, and it's Colonia Essenza. This one just has, for me, a photorealistic lemon note on this. And there's some other citruses there as well, but the most prominent citrus I get is lemon. This one reminds me of drinking limoncello in Rome. It's got that classic men's cologne vibe, but with a modern edge to it. The citruses are smooth and sweet. They're not really sharp citruses. And there's a lot of depth to this fragrance. It has some woods in there. So you get that bright, citrusy feel to it, but you also get depth. And with that depth, you get performance. So this is a great performer. This will last all day. It'll project easily, strongly for around 2 hours for me, and I'll get probably 10 hours of longevity out of this one. So it's a great performer. It's got that lovely classic men's cologne feel, and these Art Deco bottles are just stunning. Number 2 is a gorgeous boozy scent from the House of Nasamato. This is Baronda. I've recently just got this bottle in my collection. I'm so pleased to have it because I think the Nasamato bottles are just stunning. I love the caps on these. They also come with travel caps, so if you were traveling with these, you don't have to have these cumbersome caps. These are just for show, really. So before I got this one, I was wearing the Perfume Parlour version, which is fantastic. I was wearing that one before I'd smelled the original, and now I've had the chance to compare the two fragrances. The Perfume Parlour interpretation is stunning. It's pretty much exact as far as I'm concerned in terms of the scent and in terms of the performance, but I really wanted to have the bottle in my collection. I'll wear both versions. I'll maybe wear the Perfume Parlour version when I'm dressing more casually, on days out, maybe as a day scent, and I will save the sprays from this gorgeous bottle for those occasions that are a bit more special. Even though this is a boozy fragrance, and I think it has one of the most realistic single malt whiskey accords of any fragrance, it's still quite a light fragrance. It's not too heavy, not too dark. I can easily get away with wearing this on spring days, particularly those cooler spring days. Just like some autumn days as well, I could definitely wear this one through the autumn. So it's pretty versatile in terms of when you can wear it. I probably wouldn't wear it on hotter days. I don't think I'd wear it really that much in the summer unless we had some cooler summer days, which we do get sometimes here in the UK. Well, not sometimes, quite a lot. But Baronda is a gorgeous scent. It's really versatile. For me, this one excels in formal occasion situations, dressed up, wearing a suit, and spraying from this gorgeous bottle. Number 2, Baronda from Nasamato. Time for number 1. This one has notes of orris roots, jasmine, patchouli, sandalwood. It's a gorgeous, versatile floral scent that you could easily wear all year round. This is from the House of Amouage, and it's Reflection Man. I love wearing this scent. It reminds me a little bit in some ways of Jean-Paul Gaultier Le Male. Has a similar kind of scent DNA, but I find this one to be more refined, more elegant, definitely smells more expensive. It's a crowd pleaser, it's a crisp pleaser, more importantly. For me, the most important thing about a fragrance is how it makes you feel. And if you can feel great wearing a fragrance, then it's a good one for you. For me, this one makes me feel like an unstoppable force of nature. I thought filming here in the Lake District by Lake Derwentwater was a fitting location. The reflections in this lake are just reflecting the mountains that I love so much. I really enjoy this scent. I have taken advantage of the location and taken lots of pictures of the reflections of Reflection Man in the lake. You can check those out on my Instagram. I'm filming this video quite early in the morning. I haven't yet applied my scent of the day. This one, my number 1, is my scent of the day. So I'm going to put it on now. One to the back. Amouage Reflection Man, my number 1, a truly stunning scent. This has been my spring top 10 video. I hope you've enjoyed watching. I hope you've enjoyed my change of location. Please like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think of my choices. I'd love to hear from you. I'm Chris, you're watching FRAG-MENTAL. Time for the spring fragrances list. So I found some daffodils for the video today. Daffodils to me just signify the start of spring, and I just thought it would look nice to have a splash of colour in the background. So I'm very privileged to be sitting here in the Museum Gardens in York. I'm here early in the morning. I'm trying to do this before all the tourists start coming in. So I've got 10 fantastic spring fragrances that I'm going to be showing you today. These are a mixture of designer and niche. They're 10 fragrances that I'll be heavily rotating through this spring. So let's start the list. All right, let's kick off the list with a cheapie. This is one for the coffee lovers, Rochas Man. This fragrance gets a lot of love. You'll see many people talking about this, and it's because it's just so enjoyable, so easy to wear. So the main things I get out of this are a lovely milky coffee note paired with this lavender. It doesn't feel particularly full-bodied or rich or natural, but it smells great. There's some lily of the valley in this one as well, which is giving us this kind of green freshness. So to me, it is quite a spring-like fragrance. And despite having coffee, which can sometimes be a darker note, it's still quite a bright fragrance. It's got a lot of airiness. So I really enjoy wearing this any time of year. I think it really, for me personally, I think this excels in spring. The best thing about this is the price. For this 50ml bottle, you'll be paying between £20 to £25, and I assume it's probably the equivalent in dollars. So great spring pickup. Got a niche one for you next. This one was released last year in 2019. Absolute beauty from Renier Perfumes. This works any time of year, but for me, again, this one really excels in the spring. It's delirious. So from this one, I get like a green tropical fruit. It's big, it's rich, it's well-rounded. There's a little bit of slightly earthy vetiver in there as well. This is just bright and uplifting and full of life, really represents what spring is to me. It's inspired by the ancient Taino Indians who lived off the land in South America. And I would say this one, it's fun, it's interesting, quite artistic, but still very easy to wear. And I look at this bottle and I smell this fragrance and I think if emerald had a smell, it would smell like this. This next one's a designer and I've had this for quite a while. I received it as a prize for a photography competition that I entered, and I'm slightly embarrassed to say that I didn't really try it until very recently. It was sitting at the back of my shelf. It was gathering some dust. I'm so pleased that I've recently rediscovered it at the back of my shelf and I've started to wear this because it's a really beautiful fragrance, especially for this time of year. It's from the house of Xenia and it's called Talent and it's from their Element of Man line. This one has citrus, pepper, patchouli, cedar and black tea. It's got a really modern, masculine feel. It's got a fresh spiciness but also an assured depth that comes along with it from the woods that are in here. It's juxtaposed beautifully by this really calming tea note. So you've got the lively, fresh, spicy aspect of this fragrance and that calming tea note just balances really well. So glad I found this one. The next one is from Imaginary Authors. It's my second favourite from the house, my first being Memoirs of a Trespasser, but this one is just perfect for spring, better for spring than Memoirs of a Trespasser because that really works in the autumn and in the winter. This one is Cape Heartache. This is like a walk through an enchanted forest. It's got fir, it's got pine, so it's got this gorgeous foresty green camphorates quality that pairs with a note of strawberry. Who'd have thought that would work, but somehow it just does. I'm going to read you the notes as they're on the back of the bottle. Douglas fir, pine resin, western hemlock, vanilla leaf, strawberry, old growth and mountain fog. It's bright, it's artistic, it's easy to wear and full of life. Love Cape Heartache. For the next one, I'm sticking with that camphorates feel. This one is an offering from Creed, the only one from Creed in this list. It's one that I've recently acquired. I've smelled this for years, but always just had samples and decants, but I finally got a bottle. I'm talking about Royal Mayfair. So what's funny about this one is I often hear it described as underrated, but every time I mention it, every time anyone else mentions it, most people say they love it, so it seems to be quite highly rated. Whether that's just in recent times, more people are discovering this and enjoying it. The thing I love most about this fragrance is, first of all, it's very, very sophisticated, classy stuff. It's for that kind of put together gentleman. It's got a gorgeous eucalyptus note. Some people say that the smell of this reminds them a little bit of mothballs. Now, I've never smelt mothballs and I'm kind of glad I haven't because I might have an association with this scent that I wouldn't enjoy. So never smell mothballs, don't know if this smells like it or not. Some people say it does. I'd say it leans maybe a little more to the mature, so I think probably you want to be about 30 plus if you're wearing this, but if you can pull this off, it is outrageously classy. It is said that Creed originally made this for the Duke of Windsor. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it certainly does have a very regal sophistication about it.
Join the Scent Geeks every Monday as we podcast about all things fragrance. You'll find us anywhere you can usually find a podcast. Links are in the description below this video. See you there, geeks.
This next one's from a brand that were around last year and then they went away for a while. I'm not quite sure why, but they're back. And they're back with a rebrand. They have 3 fragrances in their current lineup. This one is, out of all their fragrances, probably the one that is most perfect for spring. It's called Undergrowth. Yeah, talk about perfect for spring. In this one we've got soil, mint, green grassy notes and earthy vetiver. This is a smell that reminds me of my childhood. It reminds me of playing in the grass, of playing in the woods, and it also reminds me of the smell of forests when I'm mountain biking. So I do a lot of mountain biking, and particularly in the summer or the spring, there's a certain smell, there's a certain green smell that comes from all the undergrowth, and this really reminds me of that, so it captures that perfectly. But it doesn't just smell of that. This added mint gives it an extra kind of lift and lots of life, and it's got a sweetness to it as well. So it isn't just the smell of undergrowth, it's kind of inspired by the undergrowth, I would say. It's a really, really lovely smell. It's a great creative scent from an artistic brand, Rook. If you want artisanal, artistic, creative perfumery that is still wearable. Lovely. Next up is one from Tom Ford. The scent DNA of this one is pretty much the definition of the gentlemanly aromatic fougere. It's Beau de Jour. At the heart of this fragrance is lavender. Lavender, lavender, lavender. This one is a lavender bomb, and did I mention lavender? So if you don't like lavender, you probably won't like this one. There's also some lovely green mossy notes. There's a slight herbal nuance coming from the rosemary, so it's very gentlemanly, very put together. Kind of harkens back to old school style barbershop fragrances, but I still think it's modern enough to wear today. Some people do get that old-timey association with lavender. I don't particularly get that, so to me it doesn't feel old-fashioned. Some people say it does. We all have different associations. It's all open to interpretation. So get your nose on this, smell it, see what you think. I think it's really, really classy stuff. Another designer, this one is from Dior. This made my spring list last year. I just think it works so well at this time. This works well any time of the year, but particularly in the spring, I think it excels. This is one of those that has that classic gentlemanly cologne style. It is Dior's Eau Sauvage Parfum. This type of fragrance has been around for a long time. It's got that classic gentlemanly feel. This one is a more modern interpretation of the original 1966 Eau Sauvage. If you're someone who does have that old-timey association with lavender, then this is definitely a classic cologne style scent that you might get on with more. I would say it still leans a little more mature. I think you'd probably want to be about 25 plus to wear this fragrance. This is one to wear if you want to feel bold, empowered, classy, confident. It's assertive, it's gentlemanly. Yeah, can't really go wrong with this one. Niche next, and this one is pretty new to me, but I've been wearing this a lot over the last couple of months, and I'll certainly be wearing this a lot through spring. It is slightly on the heavier side for a spring fragrance, but where I am here we can have some very cool spring days, so this one will definitely work for me in the spring. I'm very proud to have in my collection Oud for Greatness from Initio. An important thing to note with this one is the oud is not too heavy in here. It's definitely not skanky. If it was, it might just be a little bit too heavy, a little bit too much to wear, particularly on warmer spring days. So the oud is here just giving some punchiness, but we've got some nutmeg, some saffron, there's some lavender. So all those things give this fragrance a nice bit of lift. It does have quite a heavy base. It's got this dry, dusty, earthy thing going on, but it doesn't make it too heavy for me personally to wear in the spring. It's beast mode, it's a compliment getter, definitely greatness. I've just had to change my angle here because even though it's a gorgeous spring morning, we've got sunshine, it's moving around in the sky, it's going behind trees, it's causing shadows. So sorry about these changing lighting conditions, just the challenges of shooting outside. But if we want daffodils, we've got to accept that. Okay, so I'm on to the final one, which is one of my favourite niche houses. This one comes courtesy of Roger, and out of all the fragrances in the Roger Parfums lineup, I would say this is probably the one that is the best for spring. It's from the Parfum Cologne line and it's Scandal. This one is an absolute beauty. Another great one from this line for spring is Vetiver in the green bottle. That is very versatile, as is this one. You can wear either of these two all year round, but they both work really well in the spring. So I love the Vetiver, but for me, I love this one a little bit more. It's got a bit more pop to it, a bit more life. It's a little more assertive than the Vetiver. So in this one, we've got some citruses, some mint, lavender, spices and woods. It's got a great assertive masculine quality about it. Whenever I wear this, I feel confident, I feel empowered. It really sings in spring, Scandal. As is tradition with these videos, the number one on my list is the fragrance I wear today, so I'm going to apply some Scandal. This is good stuff. If you've not smelt Scandal, try to get your nose on this. It is such a beautiful juice. Oh yes, now I'm ready for spring.
I could stay like this, forever following you, and I'll be right where you are.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the Lake District. From the sunny shores of Lake Derwentwater, I'm talking about my top 10 fragrances for spring. 12 months ago, I sat on this very rock and put together my top 10 fragrances for spring. So I thought I would do the same thing from the same location because I think it's just so perfect. The sun is reflecting off the lake. There's a freshness in the air. It's early in the morning. I've got down here before most people are out of bed. I couldn't think of a better time and a better location to make this video. So let's look at the fragrances that are in my spring rotation. The first on my list is from the perfumer Bertrand Duchefort. It was inspired by his travels to Africa. It's from the house of L'Artisan Parfumeur, and this one is Timbuktu. The boys from the excellent channel Wafts from the Loft put me onto this one. They really raved about it and I thought I had to check it out. The note list sounded a little bit different to what I would usually go for, but I'm always up for exploring different compositions and I really fancied checking this one out. So in this we've got some pink pepper, some patchouli, spices, woods. The stars of the show for this one are mango and incense. The mango is so bright and juicy and photorealistic, and it's just wrapped up in this beautiful, mysterious, exotic incense. I've never really smelt anything like this one. It's also got a little bit of a smokiness. There is vetiver in here, so it might be a slight smokiness coming from that vetiver. But it's bright, it's green, it's got depth and complexity. So that mango and incense just sweep you away, so intoxicating, and this is a beauty to wear for spring. The next on my list actually was my spring number one for last year, and it's a fragrance that I will always wear, and I think spring is the perfect time for me to wear this, although it's so versatile you can wear it all year round. It's from the house of Amouage, it's Reflection Man. I find this to be a stunning take on a jasmine and sandalwood. It's so smooth and creamy, and even though you've got the florals in there, they're white florals, so they're not leaning too feminine. I find it to be refined, sophisticated, gentlemanly, super easy to wear, really crowd pleasing. You get great compliments on this because it is just so nice for other people to smell. It's often described as a niche version of Jean-Paul Gaultier's La Malle. I kind of get that. I guess there are similarities, but to me, it's different enough to absolutely be its own thing, and it's much, much higher quality than La Malle. I love Reflection Man. Next is an absolute masculine classic from the house of Dior. This is a reimagining of the 1966 classic Eau de Toilette version, and it's Eau Sauvage Parfum. To me, this is just the epitome of a masculine cologne. This version has bergamot, myrrh and vetiver. It's a lovely citrusy aromatic. The myrrh is providing some depth and there's some dry woodiness coming from the vetiver. This actually is an older bottle. I was lucky enough to pick this up recently in store, brand new. The earlier formulation was discontinued in 2017 and the newer formulation I think replaces the myrrh with elemi, and it is still supposed to be really nice. You know, if you're getting the older formulation, which many people think is perhaps the better one, even though both are very nice. The older one is a fully black label, so if you look on the front here, the black square section where the name of the fragrance is in the middle, on the newer versions that is now silver. So if you can find a label that is all black, then you know you've got that older formulation with the myrrh in rather than the elemi. So yeah, I was very lucky to find this in store. I think if you look hard enough, you might still see it. I know that I've noticed in a lot of stores that their testers are still the full black label, so just be careful when you go in and test it, because you may be testing a different formulation to the one that you would actually buy. Either formulation that you buy are both fantastic. I've smelled both of them. They're both beautiful masculine cologne style fragrances. You can't go wrong. The next one is from Parfums Vintage. I've absolutely fallen in love with this one. It's based on a Chanel fragrance, possibly one of the most popular Chanel fragrances. That is Coromandel EDT. The fragrance I'm talking about is called Cacophony. In this we've got citruses, patchouli, vanilla, musks, white chocolate. Oh, it's absolutely delicious. So this is based on the Coromandel EDT, not the Eau de Parfum, which is the version you can currently buy from Chanel, but Parfums Vintage felt that the composition of the EDT was better, and I think it was to do with the lighter, brighter notes like the citruses. They felt were more able to shine in the older EDT, and they weren't overtaken by the mature notes in the fragrance. So the mature notes are slightly dialed back, just really allowing this one to be a little bit brighter. So they've resurrected the composition that they feel is the best one, and that's something that's pretty cool about a company like Parfums Vintage, is that they're bringing back a fragrance that was much loved and you can no longer buy. The thing I love most about this fragrance is the patchouli. I'm really getting to understand patchouli and how it can add to a composition. There are 4 different types of patchouli in this one. It's really versatile and just a beautiful fragrance to wear in the spring. Next is the first of 2 fragrances from the house of Guerlain. This is based on a classic fragrance that was originally released in 1925. It's actually marketed towards women, but it's well known that many males enjoy wearing this one. It is, of course, Shalimar. Shalimar has citruses, florals, vanilla, tonka, incense. It smells classic and vintage, but at the same time it still very much has a place in modern perfumery. It's bright, it's classy, it's got some gourmand nuances which add a beautiful warmth. For me, Shalimar has this almost inexplicable, mysterious, timeless quality. It's just a stunning fragrance. As I mentioned, this is the modern day Eau de Parfum formulation, which is very nice, but I'm also lucky enough to have a vintage bottle of Extrait, which I think is from the 50s, 60s, which is absolutely stunning. That is the best version of this fragrance, but the Eau de Parfum is still very good. Next is a fragrance from the house of Serge Lutens. This is a stunning take on a vanilla. It's Un Bois Venu. This one has sandalwood, vanilla, licorice, beeswax, woods and tonka, so there's loads going on in here. The licorice just balances perfectly with the vanilla. Oh, it really is just a beautiful fragrance. And even though there's some darker, more mature notes in here, it's still light enough to wear at this time of year. Next is one of the newest releases from the house of Byron Parfums. This is probably my favourite from all their releases so far. It's the Chronic. This has prominent notes of pepper, cinnamon, sandalwood and musks. It's sweet, it's creamy, it's got loads of depth. The pepper and the cinnamon just give it a real kind of punchy, spicy opening. And this one is also a beast. You don't need many sprays of this and it's going to last you 10 hours plus. Projection is massive, longevity is perfect. It's got one of those compositions that is just very crowd pleasing, so I really enjoy wearing this. Other people notice it and other people really enjoy smelling this one as well. The Chronic is beautiful for spring. The next is second on my list from the house of Guerlain. This is a gorgeous classic fragrance. The green vetiver in this just makes it perfect for spring. It's vetiver from Guerlain. This one was love at first sniff for me. Oh, it's just a classic masculine fragrance. It was first released in 1961 and then it was relaunched in 2000. I've not smelt the vintage version, but from what I've heard, this is a very nice interpretation of that original release. Citruses give it some brightness, but there's some woods, some tonka, some tobacco which give it depth, and of course you've got that beautiful vetiver note as well. It packs a real punch, it's got a good bit of masculine attitude. And the best thing about this one is the price. As with a lot of Guerlain fragrances, extremely affordable. I think for this 100ml bottle, I only paid about £30 and I think I got it from Notino, so well worth an investment if you've not got this one. Next one is from the Tom Ford Private Blend. This one is possibly more of a autumn fragrance, but here in the UK we have some cooler spring days, so I can easily wear this as part of my spring rotation. I mentioned a fragrance in my list sat here 12 months ago. It was from Alexandria Fragrances called Bitter Soft. That was a take, that was an interpretation of this fragrance. I now have the real thing and I'm so pleased to have it, Tuscan Leather. This is a stunning masculine leather. There's also some sweet, juicy raspberry in here. They're the most prominent notes for me, but there's also some beautiful jasmine, amber and woods. To me, this one is an absolute masterpiece. I have various clones of this, which are all very good, but I'm so pleased to finally have this one in my collection because this bottle just looks nicer next to all my other private blend bottles. Time for number one. This one is a recent discovery for me. It's become my favourite patchouli fragrance. It's from the house of David Jocquin. I'm not familiar with any of the other fragrances from that house, but I'm definitely gonna look out to try them, at least get some samples, because the one I'm gonna talk about now is just stunning. It's called Queer Mandarin. This one has mandarin, patchouli, leather, amber and Virginian blonde tobacco, so it's not a really deep, dark, resinous tobacco. This is about the partnership between the mandarin and the patchouli, both absolutely stunning. This is a really exquisite and extremely sophisticated niche fragrance. Just to give you an idea of what this one smells like, it's sort of a cross between Mugler's Ultra Zest and Chanel's Coromandel. So it's got that citrus, it's got that beautiful, rich, deep, high quality patchouli. It's got the perfect balance of light and dark, which to me just makes it perfect to wear for spring. It's going to be my scent of the day today, so I'm going to apply it. If you're wondering where to pick this one up from, I got this from a store in the UK called Scent City. I will leave links to the store in the description below this video so you can go and check it out. They do samples as well, so if you wanted to sample this one, you can do. So Queer Mandarin is my number one for spring. I'm just in love with this. I think it's possibly to do with the patchouli I'm getting into at the moment. Even though it does have leather in the name of this title and it comes in this lovely leather bound case, it's not a really strong leather like in Tuscan leather. I think the leather is supporting, but it's the patchouli in this that really makes it. So Queer Mandarin, number one for spring. That's my list of 10 fragrances. I hope you enjoyed it. If you own any of these or if you've tried any of these, please let me know what you think of them. Also, let me know what your top 3 fragrances for spring would be. Thanks once again for joining me in this stunning location here in the Lake District. You know I always love to bring my videos to you from lots of different places that I visit, and to me, the Lake District is a really special place to me, and I think it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. Thanks for watching, everybody. Remember, keep tuning into FM and keep smelling good.